Hello guys, just want to wait for a few of you to get on the line and then I will start running through everything. All I would say is feel free to ask questions. If you want to wait till the end, then feel free. I'm going to discuss quite a few different bits as a whole. And the different areas that I believe that are very important. So we'll cover all those 4 pillars that I think will help you, and you can go from there. The only thing I would say is with this is make sure you're making some notes, or you can always refer back to it. Also, if my sound goes, please do let me know, because at the end of the day, I can't tell what's being heard. So please do let me know what you can hear, and I will just pop a message. So if anyone's watching, please let me know that you can hear me. Just put a yes in the comments, or put your thumbs up or a smiley face, just something to acknowledge that you can see and hear what I'm saying. I'll just give you a couple of minutes, guys, just to get on the line, make sure that we're live, make sure that you can hear me okay. You all right, mate? Can you hear what I'm saying, Aaron? I'm not too loud or anything. Brill, good. We'll just give it a couple of minutes. Anyone? Okay, so here's a good one. What would you like to learn from today? What's one thing you'd like to take away from today? In your opinion, put them in the comments. I'd like to know what you want to take away from today, just so you've got something that's actionable, because I've got a prescriptive list. I'm just going to let my dog out of the room because he's just had his food. Go on then. So what's one thing you would like to learn today that you can take away and action? Feel free to pin them on the comments, and I'll see if I can make sure I can cover that area. I know it's quite a broad question, but usually if I can get to help someone, then at least I can at least you can take that away and action it. And there's going to be some stuff that you can go and action anyway straight away. Ask me now, Aaron, because it'll probably be easier because you'll be able to focus more. Okay, Andrew. Yeah, I'll cover that as well for you. Okay, mate. Yeah, Aaron, I can point you in the right direction for that. I will try and cover that a little bit in the topic today, but we'll run through that as well for you as best we can, or I'll point you in the right direction of the membership area. Yo, Josh, how you doing, mate? If anyone that's just joining the line and joining the webinar, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer during this webinar, please feel free to comment away, and I'll try and come back to them towards the end. Like I say, this is about how to create your own body transformation and the processes we run through when we're doing that with clients. There's sort of, I would say, 4 main pillars, what I would describe as the main things of any body transformation you're going to go through. And what I'll just like to point out is that with anything, with changing your body, it's all about the long term. It's not about the short term. I really can't emphasize enough that just looking at a 6-week block, 8-week, 12-week is simply not enough for anyone to implement and get good results and maintain them. You can get good results, but you can't necessarily maintain them. And why I'm mentioning this is because personally, I've been through my own transformation over a number of years. I've had coaches. I've still got a body coach. And I've been to different ends of the extremes. So I've been from one extreme of very lean to putting it back on. It just doesn't do any favors. And I've also had clients where they get very frustrated because they do so well, and then they can't maintain it because they've had an element of restriction. You've got to remember that a good body transformation is about your overall lifestyle. It's about health. It's about fitness. It's not so much about physique as the emphasis. And I feel that the fitness industry, agree with me if you think I'm right, but things on social media, the fitness industry as a whole seems to be focused on people having an amazing physique, and it seems to be driving people in the wrong way. And that's what everyone obsesses about. They want the six-pack, they want the nice body shape. If you can't get the basics right and you don't feel energized and healthy every day, and you're not sleeping right, then there's no point. What's the point in having a great physique in those circumstances? It's pretty pointless, right? We're taught as coaches, I'm taught as a coach, that I should help people improve health, improve performance, improve fitness, and then improve physique. And it's a combination of all of them. And if you get your health good, you will ultimately improve your physique, okay? Okay. Yeah, and I'll come back, Andrew. Andy, I don't know what you want to be referred to. Sorry if I've offended you, but I will come back to that shortly and cover that. I might even cover a separate thing on muscle building because I think a lot of guys get a bit confused over that. So I'll come back to that and I'll touch on that subject shortly. So what I want to do is sort of deep dive in. I want to just give you an idea of the four sort of core areas I would say are the keys to any body shape, health change, lifestyle change, body transformation, whatever you want to term it as. I think there's four real core areas. Okay, so number one in the list, mindset and goal setting. 100% are number one. Okay, I'll come back to that topic in a minute. Number two, your nutrition. You need to be right with that. I'll come back to that. Number three is the training and the training styles that you're using to get the results that you want. Okay. Number four is really boils down to your recovery, your sleep, and your motivation as a whole, as a driving thing, like a driving force. So they're the four sort of main things that I would look at. So firstly, we're gonna cover a bit on mindset and a bit on goal setting. And the guys who are part of the Got membership site, they've got access to a lot of resources within there for goal setting. Aaron, you need to take a look. Right, I want to just firstly start at the very starting point. So when we take a client on, or when I take a client on, the general procedure for setting out what they want is we sit them down and we talk through about where they're at. So you need to find out. So here's some things probably to bullet point and make a note on our spreadsheet. I wanted to do a screen share, but for some reason, Facebook won't allow it with a live screen at the minute. So if you've got pen and paper, or get some notes up, or get a Google Docs open, you want to make notes with these bits because I'm going to tell you how to literally structure it. Okay. So step one, you need to find out where you're at. You need to know where your current fitness level is. You need to know what your current body weight is. You need to know a belly measurement and hip measurement. And if you want to add in your chest measurements, your arms and the other bits, you can do. but the best markers are your belly and hip. Yeah, you got those down, guys. Then from there, if you can get hold of your body fat measurement, but it's not critical, okay. And then you need to also know where your current food intake's at in terms of calorie wise, and that is probably as much as I would say you really need right now. Is your very big starting point. I'll come back to that at the end, mate. I'll come back to that at the end. I'll answer all the questions at the end, okay? So just keep popping them in as we go, and then I'll go back. I'll work my way back through them at the end because it'll be the easiest way to address it. So firstly, those main components are what you need to do at the very, very beginning before you do anything. All right? Don't worry about your macros. Don't worry about your calories. You just need to have your stats to know where you're at right now. Okay, there is some other questions I will go through with people which are a bit more thorough. So it'll give me an idea of where they're currently at. Okay, so where you might think you're at might be a different level to where I think you're at. Okay, trust me, work with a lot of people. I know what point people need to go. Sometimes I get people come to me and I'll go, I'm here, when they're actually starting at a lower level. All right. So that's why we have these questionnaires. So those things that I've just covered are what you need first at the very, very beginning. Okay, so we're going to reverse engineer backwards. So then you need to then look at what time frame do I have to get to where I want to be? Is that 6 months because I've got a wedding? Is it 12 weeks because I've got a holiday? You need to decide on how long a period that you want to be working towards this goal. All right. Next point is we then need to know what the goal is. Is it, do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to put on muscle? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to attempt an adventure race? Do you just want to feel better in yourself? Do you want to de-stress yourself? There's a list could go on, and I could keep reeling them all off. Some of them you're probably thinking, yeah, actually, I want to get healthier. I want to get fitter. I want to be able to run around in the park with my kids when I'm 30. You might not want to be stressed out, yeah? You might be working in your own business and stressed out your head, and you want to downtime and shut off. I have clients that come to me that they have no time. They're business owners. They have no time. They literally have to schedule me in, otherwise they wouldn't do it. So they train with me 3, 4, 5 times a week. I've got clients that come to me that train 2 or 3 times a week, and that's because they are doing it for health reasons and they feel that they want to get some of their own time back. So what is your why? This is what we need to find out. The key to all of this, before you even jump down the rest of the things, is finding your why. What is your main driving factor to get to that goal and know what that result is? So again, come back to those topics. Results. What result do you want? What time frame? And why do you want it? Okay. Everyone made notes of those. So in terms of goal setting, that's how you're going to structure it out. Then as a coach, what I would do is evaluate if your goal that you want is realistic, because let's face facts. We all want the shortest result in the fastest time possible. I know I do. I've been guilty of it. I've always done 12 and 8 week transformations or cuts downs, and it doesn't do you any favors in the long term, and your body rebels against you as well. You can get fantastic results, but you have to go all in, and I don't think it's necessarily the way forward. It, again, depends on what your goals are. So we figure that out. Now, if you turn around to me and say, Nick, I'm 100 kilos and I want to be 80 kilos in the next 8 weeks, I'd probably say, unrealistic. Sorry. And I'd probably tell you that that's going to take a bit longer. Now, I've seen clients lose 16 kilos in 16 weeks. I've seen one particular client who lost half her body weight, which was 50 odd kilos in the space of a year, which most people can't even conceive that in their head, let alone actually go through it, and mentally adapt with it. So you need to make sure that you're doing something that is sustainable and is going to remain, what's the word I'm looking for, and remain part of your life as a whole. So, like I say, coming back to the whole thing of I've lost my track because I've just gone off thought of where I was going there. So like I say, if your goal was 20 kilos, then you would then say, right, okay, that isn't realistic. I mean, realistically, if you want an honest answer, what is a healthy and safe way to lose weight or lose body fat is £1 pound a week. If somebody's got 3, 4, 5 stone to lose, they may lose a lot in the very first week, right? Because they're making some big changes to their life. Now, that is a fact, and it's just part and parcel. Some people are going to lose more than others in the time frames. So be realistic in what you're putting upon yourself, because if you don't have realistic goals, what's going to happen? Right? If you don't get to them, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel disappointed in yourself, and then you're going to kick yourself, and then potentially you might binge eat if you're prone to that. If you're an emotional eater, you might then not do any training because you feel that it's not got you the result, and then you might quit, and then you've got nowhere. You know, there's a lot more things to just going through your body transformation than just going literally, right, that is it, I'm going on it, and dial it all in, and you're going to eat chicken and broccoli. If I had a fiver for every time someone said to me that my trainer put me on chicken and broccoli, or I'm eating chicken and broccoli, and I've said, how did that work out? Well, I lost a lot of weight in the first 3 weeks. What happened after the first 3 weeks? I got bored of eating it. I don't want to do it no more. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That's bound to have happened, right? So these things are all part and parcel, and this is why I say mindset and goal setting is such a massive part of it, that you need to sort of overcome, set realistic goals and work towards them at a steady pace. And that's why every client I work with now, because I never used to say this to people, I used to love turning people around in 12 weeks. It used to be great. I've got some great photos of people, what I've done in 12 weeks, but you know what? It doesn't last a lifetime. I've seen people rebound. I've made the mistakes. I've done it myself. Like I say, I've learned from my mistakes and learning from other people that I've worked with. You've got to look at a long-term, longer picture. And now everyone I talk with, they get advised it's usually a year minimum to even see some form of change, because that's what we need to take habits, change of habit, and implement new habits, break old habits. And even, God, it even allowed you to break a few rules during that and have a little bit of a lapse if that's what happens, because it does happen. I see it. No one really knows what's going to happen until they start the process and they start going through it. But the key is you enjoy the process. You shouldn't be hating every minute of it. My trainer's got me doing, or I'm following this new diet plan from Slimming World and I'm bored of it and I want a chocolate bar. You know, it shouldn't be like that. It should be adapted to the lifestyle that you want. You shouldn't feel forced. You should enjoy the whole process of it, no matter which way you go about it. Okay. So we're all clear on that is the first stage. Okay. So that's like stage 1. We've gone through the goal setting and the mindset. And then you're going to hit some little walls. And, you know, you're going to have those points that, like Andrew's just pointed out, you know, it's resisting temptation with the bad foods because they are cheap. And that is true. They are cheap. And, you know, I wonder how people that make the supermarkets are making it very accessible to buy crap, basically, but they don't care. And this is why I sort of agree with the sugar taxes that they're planning on, because I'm tempted, just like you guys are. I'm no different. I'm no elitist, but I will touch on this a little bit more when I move on to the nutrition section. So, okay, we're going to move on to the nutrition section. So first stage is you've got your goals set. You know where your baseline is and your starting point. You've mapped all that out. Now we're going to move on to nutrition. Okay, so this is where people get really excited and they sit in the meeting with me and they're going, yeah, okay, this is my typical day. I have Frosties or cornflakes for breakfast. Sometimes I hear oats comes out. They're like, yep, I have oats, so that's really healthy breakfast. Then they go into, and then we'll have a couple of coffees, and I know I shouldn't be having too many of them. And then it'll be lunchtime. I have a sandwich. I have a packet of crisps. I might have a chocolate bar. I then have another coffee at about 2 p.m. Then I don't eat anything. And then in the evening, I get home and I'm so tired, I don't want to cook. So I maybe get a frozen pizza or I get a takeaway. And the common thing that I see a lot of is I have a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine or 3 glasses of wine. And in some cases, I've had it where a particular female was drinking a whole bottle of wine, if not 2 a night. Okay? That's where we get the real problems. And it's all these little things, they gradually add up. So you should have took your baseline stats, okay? So you should know what a typical day's food is. Now, a good way to do this, and what I do with the clients at the start, is I get them to track their food for a week using an app called MyFitnessPal. You can download it. It's perfectly free. Again, I don't want people to 100% rely on it, but I like to do it as a process to show them what they're really having. So at this point, you should have tracked for 7 days or some period of time. So you'll have your baseline stats. You know, you'll know whether you're eating 2,100, 2,300, 2,800, whatever your calorie level is at, and let it just run. Don't try deliberately cutting or changing. Make sure that you run it as a normal week, as you would, you know, and pretend that you're not actually tracking it, because that'll give you an actual true figure, because we're all conceived to make sure that it makes it look better than what it is. So we then start going, oh shit, I'm tracking it, so I can't enter that, or I won't enter that, or they'll try and deliberately not enter something, or get to the end of the day. Best thing I say is track it as you go throughout the day. And that'll give you a better picture, because we all know we get to the end of the day, we've had busy days, lots have gone on, and you forget about the packet of crisps you had, or the apple, or the fruit. I've done it. I've been guilty of it myself. So make sure you have your baseline, okay? I think that's pretty drilled in now, that you should have a baseline. At that point, we say, okay, let's run with that. Let's see how we get on for 2 weeks. We get you to start your training, integrating your training. If that person's using that amount of calories and they start the training and they've maybe lost 1 or 2 pounds, we go, great, you're spot on with your calories. That's where we want you to be. If that person hasn't seen any changes at all, we know that the client is, wait for it. We know that. Is someone going to tell me what I'm going to say here? We know that the client is not in a big enough deficit, because let's face facts, we got some scales, okay? Imagine my hands are scales. We need to create a deficit for any body transformation, fat loss orientated. I'm not talking about muscle gain, I'm talking fat loss orientated, where somebody wants to lose body fat, not just weight, right? They need to have a deficit in calories, okay? Calories in needs to be lower than calories out. Yeah, makes sense? So the scales are tipping. We need to make sure we're expending more calories than we're taking in. Now, you're going to say to me, Nick, but how do we work that out? Well, there's some magical formulas around that are generic, and you can go away and work them out. There's your neat calculations, use your TDEE calculation. You can Google these, by the way. There's some other formulas as well that are lost in the matrix. So there's some formulas. I can give you a very simple formula. Take your body weight in pounds. Okay, so if you know what your body weight is in kilos, if you want to convert it into pounds, just times by 2.2. Okay, and then you times by 10. Ta-da! Magic number. So that's how we get to your magic number on calories, okay? There's a lot of other methods. There's 10, 15 of them. But you've got to remember it's just a formula. It's not going to work for everyone. So we use a baseline using that. So we take your baseline off the calculations. And like I say, if after that 2-week period you've not dropped any weight, we need to alter. Now, if you've gained weight, that means what? It means you're eating too many calories and you're not expending enough. Or potentially you may have a medical condition that may be causing issues or something else that's going on in the system. So what do we do when we hit that point? Well, that is down to assessment then. And I can't give you any nutrition specifics because I will touch on a few of the things that I would look at, but I can't give you all the specifics if you want to start asking me questions because I don't know your individual circumstances, which you would need to go through a brief questionnaire to find that out because I would need to assess it. All right. So with your nutrition, once you've got that point, everyone starts all of a sudden going, so I need to focus on protein, No, let's look at where you're at. Look at your calories to start with. Protein is very important to the body, not just for muscle building, but it's important for repair. So if, it rebuilds and helps regenerate the body. And it also is very important for the immune system. And guess what else magical part that protein does? It makes you feel full. It stops you from snacking. Okay? So when I take assessments of people's diaries, 9 times out of 10, their protein is so low, it's unreal. And again, this is all in the guides that I have within the membership area. We have a guide and that you can follow it. It's a very simple ebook. But 9 times out of 10, people don't follow it. They're not consistent. Again, I'll come back to that topic in a bit. So, are we keeping on track, guys? Aaron and I, I'm very passionate when it comes to nutrition. So I might skip on a little bit. If you would like me to slow down, please say now. If you've got anything that you want to comment on or, say, can you repeat anything, Nick? Then please say that. And what I'm going to do is I will just quickly recap what I'm talking about, just in case anyone's stuck or there's anyone new joining in. Okay, guys, are we all good? Everyone happy? I'm not going too fast. I know I get a bit excited about these things. I like talking about nutrition. Okay, so moving on, like I say, mindset, goals. We've done that. We've covered that topic. Yeah, everyone's got that wrote out. Nutrition, like I said, you should have your baseline. You should know where we're starting. You should also know where a rough breakdown of what you're having. And before we start looking at all the macronutrients individually, we need to make sure your calories are on par. So we adjust those to suit, depending on where somebody's at. So to create a deficit. Now, it might mean for some people, they might want to do a bit of extra training. So we can utilize that so they don't have to cut back as much food. We might cut back on somebody's food. We might do a bit of both, right? There's lots and lots of avenues, but we find one that suits you. Not anyone else, what suits you, right? So don't worry about what anyone else is doing. So from that point there, we then assess their macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And I will assess where that is. It won't be a focal point. But when I see 9 people out of 10, I will find that the protein levels are too low. And the government recommendation is 1 kilo. 1 kilo? No, that's wrong. I'll rephrase that before anyone tries to sue me. It's 1 gram per kilo of body weight. Okay, that is what the golden rule is. I'm going to tell you I eat more than that. And the RDAs from the government are not always spot on. We do know from a lot of research that's out there that the protein is one of the key ingredients which people miss. And there is a lot of people out there going, protein makes everyone sick. No, protein makes everyone poorly if they've got a pre-underlying condition that they don't necessarily know about. They may know about, and they might go against the grain of what they've been told. So don't worry, protein's not going to kill you. Ladies, protein is not going to kill you. Protein will actually help with all of this because it's going to make you feel full, like I covered just previously. Okay? It's going to repair you. And it's going to help develop your muscle and repair your muscles so your muscle grows. And what does the muscle do when it grows? It means it helps burn more calories, which means what? You can eat more food. So we want to gain some muscle because at the end of the day, muscle and fat, way less. Yeah, it may give you more gas, but it depends on the sources. If you're getting really gassy, mate, then it's a good sign that those sources of protein aren't agreeing with you. Quite common ones are whey protein. I get gassy off of dairy and I get gassy off of whey protein, so I avoid them like the plague. But you only find this out as you go through the process of learning through your diet, and it takes time to do that. Excuse me. And it might also mean as well, I'll just cover this because a lot of people eat the same protein sources over and over and over, and their body then responds. You know, you imagine you have a cut on your hand, right? You don't keep doing this till you cut, do you? No, because what that's going to do is it won't heal. It's the same with your insides and your gut lining. If you chuck in the same food at it time and time again, it's going to get aggravated and it's not going to be happy. Okay? And that's a simple form of me explaining it. So please, guys, rotate your foods. Coming back to the topic of proteins. So your protein is you're going to be, if you want a guide, and this is only a guide, guys, don't take this literal. A good guide to follow is 30% of your calories should come from protein. Okay? Then we're going to talk about fats and carbs. Okay? Now, normally I wouldn't address this till down the line, maybe depending on how someone's nutrition knowledge is and where they're at with their food diary will depend on what point we go in with this. Now, if you want to be technical, then your protein, your fats and your carbohydrates, they are your fuel sources. Okay, they're what fuel the body to keep it going. And people always talk about carbohydrates being the main fuel. I'm sorry to tell you that you can actually live pretty much without carbohydrates. No, but yeah, no, you don't really need loads of carbohydrates. Fats, different story, very essential and do have a lot of benefits. Now, protein, we're going to just quickly just go back to that a second. That is 4 calories per gram of protein. Yeah. Carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. Fat, 9 calories per gram of fat. So you can see the ratios. Now, go back to the ratios. Remember what I said, 30% of protein. And then you're going to go, Nick, well, what do I do? Because I've seen a lot about low carb dieting because that's another one that's come up. And yes, I've done that too. I've tried it. Okay, in certain circumstances, low carbohydrate diets do work very well. Certain circumstances, ketogenics work very well. Certain circumstances, paleo diets work well. Certain circumstances, high carb diets work well. Do you see where I'm going with this? I can keep going if you want. There's lots of different diet styles, patterns, eating ways. You've probably heard of a lot of them. All I'm going to say to you is there's lots of different methods and you need to find out what works for you. All right? But don't buy into all this low carb rubbish. It's not, most of my clients, if I put them on low carb, do you know what they do? Probably get fatter because they're stressed out and they don't need the stress of me then taking their carbohydrates out, nor do they want me reducing that so then they're wound up or they're fed up because they can't have the food they want. Cortisol goes through the roof and that just encourages fat storage. All right. So again, I'm probably going a bit fast here, so I'll try and slow myself down if everyone's good. So yeah, carbohydrates are good fuel sources. generally better for more maintained periods of cardiovascular exercise, or pre-workout to a weight session can be very good and beneficial, but again, depends, as always. So with the carbohydrates as a whole, I would say to you that if you want a magical, or not magical, but a rough percentage of where I think is a good point to be at, where I see results, and I've seen good results, is potentially about 30% is where I've seen good results from. Okay, if your whole total calories, 30% comes from that. And then that just leaves us with fats. Again, fats have their benefits. Now, there's been interesting studies done, and I went on a course, and I'll just tell you a little story. I went on a course, and they talked about a marathon runner, and marathon runners typically eat a lot of carbohydrates to fuel them. Now, this particular marathon runner, his coach said to him, I want to change your nutrition. So the coach said, you're going to go into a higher fat diet, and we're going to take you low carb. Marathon runner went, no, don't do that. I'm going to lose my time, blah, blah, blah. What does he do? He does what the coach says. What happens in the running session? It's time slower. So he's thinking it's all down to the carbohydrates. Coach says, trust me, we need to keep going with this. So he does another race. Again, performs slightly slower. Now the third race, he does a little teaspoon of honey on the tongue pre-race, because the body starts absorbing from the mouth point. Takes a teaspoon of honey. The main of his diet has been high fat. He runs a race. He gets the best time he's ever run. So it was a case of teaching the body to adapt to use different fuels, whether that be the carbohydrates or the fats to use. Now, coming back with the fats again, fats are essential. We need fats to survive. Okay, they're very, very important. And some will say, have more fat to lose more fat. But there are certain fats that are better than others. Ultimately, you want to make sure you're having a good blend, plenty of omega-3s, some omega. The diet tends to be high in omega-6, but also you need omega-7s, which are found, omega-10s and omega-9s, I believe. They're the new ones that you're going to probably see a little bit more popularized. So things like olive oil, okay, eggs are a great source of fats, meat are a great source of fats, avocados, coconut oil, butter, milk, cream. I can keep going. So yeah, all these good are all fantastic. So if you want to look at the whole, they're sort of really the whole in nutrition that we look at, but that is a step down the line. First and foremost comes your calories. If you can get a level, and then you can keep that level consistent for a long enough period, you can see overall what your weight fall off is. And again, going back to, you should be losing £1 a week ideally. We need to expend, put a body in a deficit of 3,500 calories approximately to get a deficit of £1 per week. Okay, so that's where we want to be. Now, let's assume we've done all of that and we're starting to drop weight. You hit a wall, then we have to make adaptations. Now, that again could be adding an extra training session in. It could be dropping your calories by 10%. I'm not saying that's what I would do. It might be increasing your carbohydrates. It might be increasing your foods even. Bet you didn't catch that one, did you? I didn't think that was coming. So sometimes people eat not enough. So there's lots and lots of factors. So that is step 2. Okay, so I've covered that. Step 3. And then pillar number 4. Now, you might hear a lot of fitness industry and trainers going on about it being 80% diet, 20% training. Sort of true. I won't disagree with that too much, but I would say training is relatively important. It just depends on what intensity, what format, and again, it depends on your goals. You're not going to go in, if you're wanting to run a marathon, you're not going to go into the gym and start hitting the weights every single day and then not do any running and then just go and run the marathon. You don't do that. To get good at a specific sport, you need to keep practicing it. So I'd encourage, if you do the run, you keep practicing your running. However, you can add in some strength training to improve your speed. Okay? So, training. Back to the beginning again. Like I said, we will have assessed that at the start. We would find out what your current status is dependent on where you're starting. We need to find out your baseline, right? So once we've got that baseline, we can then go, right, this is what you should be doing. Now, again, dependent on what programs you come in with me will depend on where we start you. But I will always try and get that person to work to their ability rather than taking them way past the point, because that's where they get injured. So, give you an example. I'll give you an example. Again, I don't know if you know, guys, I just want to just take a quick deep breath and tone it down because I feel like I'm speeding up. But if you don't know, in the group at the very top, there is a post at the very top. There is a link to the website. And it actually has 7 days of nutrition plans. It has 7 days of workouts. And as a whole, it gives you a good insight into what's what. Yeah? So that is a good insight. So if you haven't seen that, go and take a look at it. It'll give you an idea of the sort of things that we do. That is just touching on the very edge. And I think, if I remember rightly, there's even if you look in the files of the group, I think I've added it, because if you don't realise, I have put a lot of content into this group, and I run challenges quite regularly, and you guys do a little bit and then you stop. So it's consistency, right? It's consistency, and we're all guilty of it. There's nothing wrong. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying that you need to take action. If you want results, you need to take action. So if you look in the files, I believe there should be a template for like a training plan template. So you get your Monday to Friday and you map in what you're doing each day. Now, let's talk. You're a beginner. You've never done exercise in the gym. What's going to happen if I make you train 5 days a week? What do you think? Anyone want to give me an answer? If you're a beginner, they come in, I beast them for 5 days of the week. What is going to happen to that person? Can somebody tell me? I want to see how many people have some intelligence. What do we think is going to happen? Yeah, they'll definitely sleep. Do you think they're going to want to come back for the second week, though? If they're sleeping lots, they're calorie deprived. Yes, you've got it on the head. So if they're sleeping lots and they've got really soreness, lots and lots of soreness because I've pushed them, they're going to hate me and they won't want to come back, right? I've learned that the hard way. Let's just say that. So what we do is, beginners, if you're a beginner to exercise, you want to do what's within your comfort zone, okay? So if you're new and you've never trained in your life before, and I deem that as not doing anything except for maybe going on walks or bike rides, that is still classed as no training. You've done a light jog. That's not really a training age, okay? So training, if you're a beginner, we would probably make you work out maybe 3 times a week, yeah? To start with. That gives people a kick. They get a good feel good factor from the hormonal response to training. They get a little bit sore, so they know they've worked out, but they don't necessarily feel like they've been through the mill, so that the following week they don't want to come back. We want to make it so it's nice, fun, enjoyable, and they're enjoying it, right? Back to the beginning again of what I said. You need to enjoy the process, not feel forced, and don't do anything you don't want to do because you're doing it for somebody else. That's a lesson for you. So somebody who's intermediate now, and I determine intermediate is somebody who's maybe been training in the gym, training at home, maybe 2-3 days a week, been doing it on and off for maybe, I don't know, 6 months to a year. I call them an intermediate trainer, right? So this person understands a bit about training. They understand a little bit about lifting. They know the main moves. And this particular person, then we'd probably look at then structuring a program so that they're training 4 to 5 days a week, okay? because we can push them that bit more and they understand the basic movement so they can go that little bit harder. Advanced trainers will train 7 days a week, 9 times out of 10. Okay. It's not compulsory for a body transformation to do that, just so you know, unless you're doing a ridiculously short-term one. And I've seen people do up to 3 or 4 hours a day. Yes, what do you think that's going to do? Yep, you get amazing results. Why? Because you're dedicating your life into it. Why? I don't know why you would do that at the end of the day, because no one's paying you to do it. 2, if you've got a family and you've got work commitments, what sort of life is that going to be if you've got a partner or kids? Not a fun one. Okay. And I'm talking from someone who's a man of experience myself, because I've been through it all. You can see by my photos, I dropped like 12 kilos in the space of 12 weeks. And it just, it was crazy. And I wasn't a happy person towards the end. I'm just going to let you insight on that. So training, like I said, I would say to you that training, you need to do what's appropriate for you at the time. Now, let's talk about the mythical cardio and the mythical weightlifting training that everyone keeps talking about is magic for you. Okay, so what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy bike rides? Do you enjoy going for a run? What do you find? Where do you find your inner peace? Maybe you like a brisk walk in the mornings. You know, do stuff that you love. Don't cut that out for the sake of the gym. Please, for the love of God, don't cut that out. But when we talk about cardio and when we talk about weightlifting or resistance training, the reason why we talk so much as trainers about resistance training is mainly to do the fact that resistance training will extend your calorie burn, let's say, your metabolic rate will increase during the times of not training for between 24 to 48 hours, some a little bit longer, but usually 24 to 48 is where you notice it the most. So you can get more, you end up with more hunger. Again, this is why we have protein to help fill us up. And basically get I've lost my train of thought. Talk about food again. So with the metabolic rate from the training, this is why we always talk about doing resistance training. Now, from a body transformation perspective, if you're an intermediate trainer, you probably want to be doing 4 days worth of potentially weight resistance based, and then potentially 1 to 3 days worth of cardio, depending on how experienced you are. So that's why we talk about that, and that's why a lot of my training programs are more based around resistance training. Most females will tell me they're feeling tighter and leaner. Most of the guys will say the same. I think Aaron said his chest is getting bigger because the muscle we're putting on his legs and his chest. So now, what you need to understand, it's very difficult to gain muscle. It's very hard. People think that it's easy. It's not. And that's why women get a bit worried about training with weights. Don't be worried. It's not a bad thing. Your body, your muscle is more dense than body fat. So if you're gaining muscle and losing body fat, your body will technically shrink. Okay. So if you look from those lines, it's a positive from all angles to train with resistance. If you're a menopausal female, you need to train with resistance training to help. Okay, it will help you all. Cardio is very important for health, right? Don't just neglect it totally. It won't ruin all your gains. It won't ruin all your gains, you lovely bros that are out there. And it certainly won't damage you too much. As long as you're not like literally running 10-mile runs every single day, then it might start breaking your muscle mass down. That's where you have to be wary. 30 to 40 minutes, even 20 to 40 minutes of cardio for anyone is very good for you, no matter what. Okay, so try and do brisk walks, bike rides, swims, runs. Run around the park with your kids could be one. Anything that is going to physically challenge you to get your heart rate elevated will be fine. Okay? And it will do you good in the long term. So a blend of both will help in any body transformation. And again, like I said, we're mainly focusing on fat loss for this. So that's pillar number 3 covered. Again, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments box. I'm just going to take a deep breath and catch myself before we move on to the next section. And I know this is probably taking you good time, guys, and I appreciate you spending time watching this webinar. I really, really do. I want to help you all, and the resources that I'm putting into this group are good, but you just need to make sure that you're actually actioning it. Like with the abs challenge, people were like, yeah, well up for it. They follow it for 3-4 days and then they stop. I personally had to stop filming the videos because I did something I aggravated my hip, which some of you know. I've got a bad hip that flares up every once in a while, and I'm having to do work to try and fix that. So that's something I would say. Don't worry about ask loads of questions, guys. Put them all in the comments box before I move on, because I'm going to come and do the Q&As all at the end, and I'll answer them all in one. This webinar will stay in the Facebook group for potentially 7 days, and then I will take it down and it will go into our membership area for people to play back and watch, because it's got a lot of value in it. And at the end of the day, it's for the paying clients' benefit, because some of them are sitting in the group, but it's also to help educate you all as well. And if you take something away and use it, then great. That's what I want. Okay, moving on to the 4th real pillar. So what I was talking about, recovery, sleep, consistency, persistence are all really the main sort of back pillar, the final pillar that I want to really touch on. So as hard as you train, you need to also be able to recover. It's come evident upon, I've done quite a few courses, and I'm sure most of my clients will tell you this. I regularly go off and learn, and it comes up every time. What do we all suffer with? Lack of sleep, because we've got so many distractions. If you don't sleep well, you don't recover. Your body has something called the circadian rhythm. Again, I believe that I put a big sleep document up I might have put a sleep document up, I think, or overview in the photos or into one of the videos, or even in the file section. Again, because a lot of these I've given you little snippets of what the clients get. But it's again in the membership site. There's a full document on it. But basically, it's something called the circadian rhythm. We all go through it. It's our normal body. It's not what we term as our body clock, right? So we go through a restorative process overnight. Our body goes through like when you sleep, it basically goes through what we call like what's the word I want to use here? It's because I've got food brain. I'm getting hungry now. See, lack of carbs. So we go through like a set cycle. So it's like remove, repair, replace. So the body starts stripping out the bad stuff. It then starts fixing it, and then it replaces anything else, and then it does the growth formula, so to speak. So it goes through these little steps. And the circadian rhythm is very important, and this is why sometimes people wake up during the night and they go to the toilet, because it's their body being a bit out of sync and not quite happy with how it should be. You should get a solid night's sleep. We always aim for 7 to 8 hours. If you are going to the gym, training like a beast, and I'm not saying that's what it's all about, because it isn't. If you go to the gym, train 5 days a week, you're a stressed out business owner, right? And you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night because you're so focused on business. Again, what do you think's going to happen, guys? Anyone want to tell me what happens? Does anyone know? What happens? Don't be afraid to answer. It's all a learning curve. What happens if we train you 5 days a week like a beast and you don't sleep enough? What happens if you don't recover? you're going to still feel sore. What also happens if you don't sleep enough? You get carbohydrate cravings because your sugars are low and your brain's going, I need help, I need stimulation. Let's get some sugar down me. Quick. What do you grab for? The nearest sugar. Yeah? These are just a few things to name. If we want to get more technical, we can do. But I just want to say, you know, these are things that you need to be addressing. If your sleep's off, you need to fix it pretty sharp, because you won't get the most out of your body transformation. You won't get the most from your training. If you're trying to gain muscle mass, and you won't. If you're not sleeping, you won't recover well. And just to touch on what you've just asked there about napping, and I'll come back to it again. Basically, the athletes use power napping as a way to recover. It can be very, very good for you, so don't be afraid of using it. But don't do any more than sort of 30 minutes top whack, because you start hitting your deep sleep. All right, just as a word of warning, and then you'll get more groggy and feel worse. I use power naps because I personally I have problems with sleep. Always have done. I've tried all sorts, but I find for me, I work well on doing like 6 hours a night, and then I have a half an hour power nap in the day. It helps me recover too, because generally I train at lunchtime. So that's sleep and recovery. Now, consistency and persistency. Let's talk on that. How many of you on the call that are still live on this call, because I appreciate that, you know, you've all taken time out your evening to listen to this, but how many of you have managed to follow some form of diet? And I don't like the word, I use the word diet loosely. Who's followed a diet for maybe 2 to 4 weeks and then given up on it because you thought, no, it's not working? Would like to know, be interested. Who's followed a diet for 2 to 4 weeks and then given up on it because they felt it's not working? I'm guessing that probably a few of you have done that, right? No surprise. Or anyone else that's going to watch this after, you know, it's going to be probably no surprise to you. Now, what I'm going to say is that you need to be consistent, not just for 2 weeks, not just for 4 weeks, not for 4 months, but for like a year. You need to start tracking. I don't mean track consistently. I mean, you need to start being consistent with your training. Okay, so set yourself a small goal. So we'll come back to section 1. Set some small goals in between, interim goals. I want to train, or I need to train twice a week for the next 4 weeks. At 4 weeks, we'll then increase it to 3 training sessions a week. And then after 6 months, we'll increase it to 4 training sessions a week. See where I'm going? Okay. But make sure you're doing the 2 sessions a week consistently for at least 4 weeks to 6 weeks, maybe longer, maybe whatever you need, before you move on to stepping it up again. Because I just see people diving in at the deep end, and it's not good. These rapid transformation programs you see online a lot, it's no good. You're just going to dive in at the deep end and you'll get fed up. And you'll do what I did. Hate training. Hate the process. Get lean, yeah, great. But who cares? If you're not happy, you feel tired all the time, you're zoning out. That's what happens. So don't dive in at the deep end, guys. What I'm trying to do is I want to teach you to do slowly and find what works for you. That is the best thing that you can do. So just make sure you're consistent with your training and your nutrition. And then check off little checkpoints. And make sure you're checking these little checkpoints off along the way, and they're relative to your goals. You know, if you're running a marathon, right? You learn to run a mile first, then maybe 2, then maybe 4, then maybe 8, then maybe 12, then maybe 16, and then you never normally go up above that, right? So you gradually build up. And that's the same with weight training or cardio or any exercise as a whole. Okay, covered on consistency. what else was I going to talk about that I think is relative with that? I've lost my school of thought. Anyone remind me? What did I say I was going to talk about besides sleep, recovery, consistency and persistency? Does anyone remember what else I said? Excuse me, I'm getting tired. Been a long day. Does anyone remember? Anyone have any questions? More questions? Fill them in the box because I'm going to come to Q&As very shortly and I'll answer all of those. Again, I appreciate your time, guys. Really do. Listen, if I help just one person today, that's good for me. I take pleasure out of helping people. I like to see people get results. I like to see them change. I like to see them telling me that their genes are feeling better. I like to see them tell me that, you know, for the first time they've ran around the block. It's great. All of it is progressive. So anyway, I've totally forgotten what the rest of my last part is. This is because I've not put everything together on a system that I wanted to talk about. So, you know, most people I see, like I say, face many of these problems, and they maybe just think that their only answer is training. They often go on a diet as well, and then they think they can do it all through that. And yes, you'll get a certain degree of results, but if you want to really get lean and you want to get the best body transformation, then you need to make sure that you're taking into account all four of the factors that I've talked about. So again, come back to it. Mindset and goal setting, nutrition, training, consistency, recovery, and sleep. And then there's some other bits. I can't remember. And some other bits. I've lost the plot. So those things you have to come back to. So all these, if you want the best shape possible, you need to use all of those resources. And maybe you just need to focus on one area to start with. Maybe you need to just get in the gym and train more. Maybe you just need to eat a little better. Maybe you just need to even just swap some foods, right? Don't even need to be complicated, guys. I see too many people complicating it, even myself. So, right. Come to the Q&As. Anyone want to answer any questions? Pop them in the box now, because I'm going to go quick fire for them all. And again, I'll give you another chance to feedback to me if you have more questions on those topics. One thing I really, really, really appreciate you do, if you can, if you found the webinar to be really useful, please go to the Body Transformation Center's website, webpage, Facebook page, and say, and just give me a review, please, or even on Google reviews, just search Body Transformation Center, write a review. I really, really appreciate it, because at the end of the day, that shows people what I'm helping with. And, you know, I've took time out to help you guys, and this group is all for free. I don't charge anyone that's in it unless they're a client, because clients are in the group. Please action stuff. Use the stuff that I'm putting in. Most of the stuff that if you implemented, the 90% of the stuff that I put into this group, you could already be halfway to being in shape yourself, right? There's only so much I can do for you. I can't do it for you, which some people I think that I can. I can't do your getting in shape for you. It's about you. You need to take action and learn. Right, I'm going to come back to the start of the questions then, guys. I'm going to just quickly tell you what we'll do. Let's just do it another way, because that'll make my life easier. I'll get them up on my phone because I can't see where they are. Anyway, guys, I hope you're really enjoying this webinar. I hope you've learned something from it, and you're taking something away. I'm just going to find all the questions and come back to them for you. This is weird, looking at myself on the screen. Right. Come back to them for you. Let's mute that. This is weird. Okay, so, right. God damn you, Facebook. Show me the questions. Right, I can't find the questions on there. Right, I'm going to scroll up and see if I can get a hold of them. So please don't pop any more questions in until I tell you to do so, because it has thrown my screen off, please. So, right, Aaron, talking about foods and your holiday. Right, you have a membership area that is absolutely loaded full. Nearly 700 recipes, mate. You've got no excuse. Meal plans, all in there, mate. No excuse. If you want more specifics, great. We can work out your calories. Great. I can give you a checklist if you wish. I'm doing that with someone else at the moment. So if you need help, Aaron, by all means, remind me tomorrow, and I will sort out a checklist for you and point you in the right direction. But remember, all the resources are within the membership area. Okay? And including the booklets that I've talked about today. It's just I know quite a few of you aren't logging in for those that are clients. Right. Andy, coming back to your topic on counting calories when it comes to building muscle, definitely 100%. Whether you're doing body fat, whether you're looking to lose body fat or whether you're looking to gain muscle, what you need to do is make sure that you know your baseline, like I talked about at the very start of this webinar. So make sure you know that baseline. Once you've got that baseline, then what you need to do is figure out how much you need to go up. Now, it's the same as weight loss. You need to create a surplus. So now, where I see a lot of guys go wrong, and you see all the bros, let's say, online, that go, oh, we need to consume loads of food. I'm eating 5,000 calories a day. Eating loads of pizza, right? Let me call some BS on that. That's rubbish. You don't need to do that. If you're on 2,000 calories, you don't all of a sudden need to jump up to 3,500. It doesn't work like that. Your body will gain fat faster than you realize. It's small incremental amounts. So on that note as well, if you want my advice, if your body fat is more than maybe 15%, you're wasting your time. I would focus on getting leaner and then get bigger. For the simple reason being that your body, when it's leaner, it likes to be able to utilize everything better, which consequently means if you're leaner, you're consuming a bit of extra food, you can put muscle on better because the body's in an optimal position to do so. Okay? Probably need to spend another webinar explaining that. But what I would say is, yes, you need a baseline. Yes, you probably need to count some calories in some shape or format, just so you know where you're at. But it doesn't mean necessarily tracking them daily. It just means checking in every once in a while to make sure you haven't gone way out of kilter and you're not gaining too fast. If you're gaining a pound to 2 pounds a week, it's not all muscle, I'm afraid to say. It's more than likely a big chunk of fat, especially if you're so okay, here's another little ninja tip for you. If you have a longer training age, if you've been training maybe a year or more, it makes it harder to put on muscle, and it also it makes it harder because the body starts adapting. If you're someone that's totally new and never done any weightlifting or resistance training before, you'll put on muscle at a faster rate. You will adapt faster because the body's like, oh no, what's going on? Whereas it already knows that you've been punishing it a little bit, let's say. Right, Aaron, options for snacking. Right, mate. Again, I'm going to refer you to the recipes section. Just Google snacks, Google protein bars, Google energy balls, peanuts, a great snack. Not peanuts, sorry, nuts. Mixed nuts are a great snack. You could use beef jerky as another one, as another little filler. You can even use pieces of meat, that's fine. But just remember to go for unsalted versions of nuts. Peanut butter, rice cakes can be a good snack. God, I could keep going. There's quite a big list. So that can help you. But again, go in the area of the membership area, mate. That's all in there. Right, Andy. Right, we're going to come back to lifting too much weight. Good or bad idea? Reps versus overload. Depends what you're trying to achieve, Andy. Right, again, maybe I could come back to this topic. Depends on what your achievement is. Are you trying to get stronger? If you're trying to get stronger, you need to lift heavier. Are you looking to build bigger muscle? If you're looking to gain size, you need to train in a hypertrophy rep range, which is generally between 8 and 12. Okay. High reps can work for some people. There's lots of different theories out there. If you follow any other gurus on training, there is a shit ton of them. Right. Josh Adcock. Right, your question. What percentage of macros would you say is the best for steady weight loss? Where are your calories at, mate? Won't worry about that until your calories. If you want my baseline, like I mentioned at the start, 30% protein, 30% carbohydrate, 40% fats. Start there. Adapt as you go along. At the end of the day, in the real world, if I told you to go low carb, because I know that does get you lean fast, is it going to be sustainable? Probably not. So no, I wouldn't focus on the macros. I'll just make sure you're hitting your protein goals, 30% protein, then make the rest up out your carbs and your fats. Simple as. Just to start with, see how you get on. Right, Andy, what's the best way to measure body fat? Right, you want the most honest way, easiest way, not most easiest, the most accurate? DEXA scan, mate. 90 quid, about 90 to 100 quid. It will scan internal body fat, external body fat. Most accurate measure that you can get. If you want, I wouldn't use scanners. They're not very good. They're not very accurate. So I won't bother that. They can be thrown out by numerous things. Won't follow that. If you want to get a trainer to do it, they can caliper you, but they're only as good as the trainer is at taking the calipers, and you need to a lot of caliper measurements of people, somewhere in the region of 3,000 to 4,000 at least, to know, be good at it, because it's very easy to get them wrong. So I wouldn't trust that. I would, best guide to know whether you're losing body fat: photos, belly measurement, hip measurement, weight. Assess all three. Okay. Andy, good. Right. Okay. So Andy, right, again, resist. You've asked, how do I resist temptation when bad foods are so cheap in your face when shopping? Don't go shopping when you're hungry. No, tough one. It is a hard one. My advice is don't shop when you're hungry. That is a real big one for most people. A lot of people shop when they're hungry. I did it, and I ended up putting in all sorts. Crisps, biscuits, cakes, you name it, I put it in there. Don't shop when you're hungry. Bad mistake. If you really want to avoid it, try and do online shopping as well. That's another way to help. But it's very difficult. It is very cheap to eat crap. I'm not saying don't ever have any, but I would say it is very difficult to make the right choices because you see it cheap. But something we found, if you want to make your healthy foods cheap, go to Aldi, go to Lidl. And again, there's some other little ninja secrets I share within my membership site. Right, yeah, Aaron, yeah, you've just covered that, so make sure you watch that as well. Yes, Andy, again, I've talked about that, tackling pictures. Yeah, taking pictures, definitely track it all the way. Always refer back to the very first photo you did. People will get very self-critical when they're not changing over the time. So make sure you're taking steady photos, be a little bit critical, make sure it's the same lighting, make sure it's the same place, make sure it's the same time every single day of the week as well. And you'll get the best photos possible to compare. Okay, Andy, you've mentioned again. Yeah, is this the same rule if you're trading more muscle trying to lean up but not lose too much muscle mass? Yeah, I mean, like I said to you, the more leaner you are, the easier it is to gain muscle. The better your body is optimized to gain muscle. You're in a better position. This has come out from a lot of the top coaches in the world. Don't believe all the hype about being a bro and gaining loads of body fat. You don't need to gain friggin' 4 stone in weight just to put on a couple of extra pounds of body fat. You have to be honest, muscle. You've got to be honest with yourself. The honest answer is with terms of muscle mass, it varies so much between person to person. Some people gain it really fast, others don't. I think last year I put on maybe 2 to 3 kilos of lean body mass. Yeah, it's not a lot, but I've been training for a long time. It is hard. So don't worry, and it's even harder for women. Shock horror. Okay. So similar rules apply. Again, I might come back to that, do another topic on muscle building if you're interested. Pre-workouts. A lot of them are full of shit. No, I won't bother. Best thing for a pre-workout, small meal, maybe half an hour to an hour before. Depends on your type of meal you have. Blend of carbohydrates, fats, and a small amount of protein would work well. I found optimal time for me to eat is about an hour and 35 minutes prior to training. Otherwise, I train like crap. I feel stuffed or I feel sick. You need to find your own. I've got clients that eat half an hour before and they are fine. But it can make a big difference to your training. Experiment, and but coming back to your main question, which is pre-workout drinks, yes or no? Waste of money, my opinion, waste of money. Go get some, go and get coffee down you, right? Go and get your coffee down you. That'll help. Don't use it if you don't need it. It will only do more harm than good because it 9 times out of 10 causes the adrenals to flag. If you've ever took any pre-workout, you'll know I took something called No Explode. Boy, oh boy, did I wish I never took that stuff. Tested 1 scoop, and guess what? My head went hot as hell. I didn't even train. I was just like this, feeling jittery. So I took it first time for training. This was quite a few years ago, and then felt really good in the gym, amazing. But then when I got back from the gym, I went, need to sleep because it just overdid it. It went overkill. Not only that, I got quite addicted, and I took 3 scoops because that was the maximum. And one day, no joke, I went on the dip machine and I must have done about 40 or 50 dips straight because I was just like wired. So my honest answer, too much crap in them, won't bother. Save your money. Aaron, yeah, protein shakes pre-workout. Yeah, that can work too. Also, I'd like to point out protein shakes you can use for meal replacement if you train early in the morning. If you don't want to get up too early, that's another way to do it. Amino acids, Andrew, brilliant topic. Something that's cropped up a lot on the courses I've attended. Amino acids, fantastic. If you don't know what they are, they're the broken down form of protein. I use aminos myself now because I don't use protein shakes. I would say brilliant for fat loss. Anyone on fat loss, don't use a protein shake, use amino acids unless there is one unless you're needing to get your protein levels up a little bit because you're not consuming enough food wise, then I would use it. Remember, it's a supplement, not a replacement. Okay. So amino acids for fat loss, 100%. Okay, just going through the questions. I appreciate your time, guys. Remember, I really appreciate your time you spent listening to this. Yeah, definitely get out, do something fun, guys. At least once a week, do something fun. Go bike ride, go for a run, go boxing, go swimming, take the kids out, whatever it is, just go do it. Have some fun. Run around the park. That'll get you sweaty. But do something fun, whatever you do. Naps are talk time. Yeah, definitely power nap, half an hour, no more. 20 minutes is about best. You'll feel most refreshed. But do try and get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. Some people naturally sleep less. That's just the way it is. I don't know if you know Alan Sugar. He's a well-known entrepreneur. He sleeps 5 hours a night and his health is pretty good. So it all depends on the person. Some people need more, some people need less. But there is certain studies to show that people sleeping over, I think, 10 hours, 12 hours, day, generally more obese. Right. Aaron needed to clarify what you mean by not based on results, but forgetting to stay on track or being lazy. Just clarify what you mean by that, mate. How do you deal with negative comments from others about your training? All right, interesting one. Now that's an interesting one, Andy. Right, in what format? In what context are we talking? Are you posting selfies of you training all the while? Are you putting up, I've just been to the gym and had a beast session? I don't know. In what context do you mean, mate? Or is it people, is it your partner? Are you spending too much time in the gym and your partner's criticizing you? I don't know. You tell me. I need to know a bit more of an insight, and then maybe I can point you in the right direction. Yes, Aaron, post your group. Look, guys, look, this group was created so you all use it. I want you to use it. Use it. The Train with Nick Facebook group, for anyone that's watching this is where this webinar has been held. Please use it. It's free. It's a great resource. There's people in here that will help support you. I will support you. But please take action and do something. Right? Post your food in the group. I'll criticize it. I'll give you a critique if you want. Right? I do drop in daily. I will be in this group. Commenting, replying, please share. Don't be afraid. Don't be a lurker. Okay? Post them in the group for accountability. Yep, definitely have a read. Yep, Aaron, look, there's a process. There's a new email system being put in place for it all now. I appreciate you know it's there. So there's a new email process. Maybe wait for the emails to be set up or go in and have a dig around. But the new email system what it will do is guide you through the exact step-by-step route. Because before it was just popped in there and you would just access it. So the membership site's been overhauled and there's various new bits I'm adding in. Don't be afraid to dig into it, Aaron. There's loads of resources, mate. Loads of resources. Right. Aaron, final question that I've got up so far. Question about diets. Not working when I found they worked, but then after X number of weeks, I got lazy. Yeah, okay, that's normal. You're going to hit a blip. You'll hit a road. But, if something's not working for you, is that the right setup? Have you got it right? Like what I see is people just all of a sudden taking all their, they eat maybe all weekend, maybe they eat out or they eat the bad weekends. They eat well in the week, but the bad weekends. Yeah, you spend time with your family, whatever. Just start with small steps. Just replace one meal gradually. Just take it out. If you eat, let's say you eat 4 meals a day and you're 28 meals over the week, you can potentially have 3 of those meals totally off plan. Yeah, totally off plan. So meal out, whatever. I don't mean let's go and have a 6-course meal, but I mean, you can go off plan. Still have the nice stuff. Still have your burger and fries. Flip's sake. People just take it a step too far. Look, if you're competing in a physique competition, we're not talking to you. I'm talking to you if you're somebody out there who has a normal life, wants to be healthy and fit and enjoy what you eat. Please make sure you do factor in some time out. Enjoy some foods. I still enjoy a beer every now and again. I still enjoy a biscuit. I still enjoy some crisps, right? I just don't overdo it. I train hard. I work hard. I eat well the majority of the time so I can have some downtime. It's fine. No one's going to judge you. All right? So my thing for you, guys, remember, 4 pillars. What did I'm going to go through them again. Goal setting and mindset, nutrition, food, training. That's a good signal. I need food. And then finally is your recovery, your sleep, and your consistency, right? You implement all of those, you'll get good results. You got 7 days. Watch this video back as many times as you need to. Make notes and go and apply. I want to hear feedback if you've got any. Please feel free to pop comments on this line for the next 7 days. I will respond to them as best I can. And again, if you want any help, post in the group. If you want me to talk about a topic, post in the group. Don't direct message me. Please post it in the group. I want everyone to benefit, and I want to help more people. If there's anyone that you know that you feel that you could have benefited from what I've taught today on this webinar, please feel free to push them into the group. It's fine. I don't mind. I want to help more people. I want to grow the community, right? It's all about taking action. I'm as guilty as you guys. I have the same problem as you guys and girls on here as you do. And just if you don't know, something I've been launching recently is a membership site. It's currently, to this group, it's £20 per month, and it will be grandfathered rights on those prices for forever and a day. You can leave after a month if you want. There's no lock-in contract. There's just a 30-day cancellation policy. If you're not happy within the first 14 days, I'll even refund your money. How's about that? So, you know, I've got the resources. You've got to take action. If you want results, it's down to you. It's not down to me. I can give you the systems. I can give you the processes. I can help you along the way. I can guide you, but I can't do it for you. You ultimately need to make your own steps, okay? So on that note, I'm going to wrap up. If anyone wants any help, or you're interested in joining the membership site, please either email me, nick@thebodytransformationcentre.com. Alternatively, comment on the link, PM me via Facebook, add me as a friend. And there is 101 ways to get in. Visit the blog if you want to see more blogs and information. I've got tons of content out there. You could get in shape right now before Christmas if you start implementing what I've taught you over today. Again, as always, been a pleasure, guys. I'm going to love you and leave you because I need some food because I'm starving and it's been a long day. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.